Hey YouTube, it's Edition 34, and I have brought you one of those Magic the Gathering Commander decks. Now, for those of you who don't know, Commander, or EDH, is basically a 100 card singleton format, which is a fancy way of saying that with the exception of basic lands, you can only run one of like any card. So it gives you a lot of variety, but it also creates some interesting deck building challenges, and it makes it a very fun format when you play people. However, what distinguishes this from normal singleton format is that you get a commander, which is one legendary creature that basically you have outside the game in a special zone called your command zone, and you get to play it by casting, just paying its normal casting cost anytime you want. And if it goes to the graveyard or gets exiled, it ends up like going back to the command zone. If you want, you don't actually have to. And you can pay an extra 2 colorless to cast it than it would normally cost for each additional time it's been cast. So like you'd pay, like if your commander cost 5, you'd pay 5 the first time. If it got killed, you could bring it back for 7, then you could bring it back for 9, and so on. So pretty cool, a lot of fun. And they've also released commander-themed decks, one set every year. And the most recent set actually had a cycle of monocolored planeswalkers that were the commanders. And the commander I want to focus on today, that I think I've had a lot of fun with, is Freyalise Llanowar Fury. She costs 5 to cast. Also, one other important thing I may have forgotten to mention. In Commander, your entire deck has to color match your commander. So you can only run things that are the colors in your commander's color identity, which is the color of the card, and any mana symbols that may be on it. And then colorless cards, and that's it. So in this case, because we've got commander with only one color, which is green, our deck has to be mono green. We can also run artifacts, though, obviously. So let's take it from there. Freyalise, she's a 5 to cast. She's a planeswalker, and she's not legendary, but she can be our commander because she actually says she can be our commander. She starts with 3 loyalty counters. You can basically make Llanowar Elves by adding 2 loyalty counters to her, which is cool. You can also take 2 away to naturalize anything, which is just huge. That's amazing. It's great control and removal. And it's actually quite easy to ramp up to her ultimate, which is to draw a card for each green creature you control. And obviously, since you've been making mana elves and casting more stuff and whatnot, you usually draw quite a bit off of her. But if that's not going to be a good ultimate for you right then, hey, these first 2 abilities will always be very utilitarian. It's great for clearing a path and doing all kinds of rampagey green stompy things. When I saw this commander, I thought to myself, you could do a lot of things with her, but I thought elves would be a lot of fun since she does make elves after all. Elves are pretty straightforward, they're cheap, they're stompy, they're everything you want. So, that said, one of our 100 cards is going to be Freyalise Llanowar Fury. And after that, our elves, we're actually running 49 creatures. 31 of them are elves, so about one in every 3 cards, give or take, will be an elf. We got Wood Elves to go get land. We've got Farhaven Elf to get land. We've got Sylvan Ranger, which also gets land. And then shifting to getting mana, we got Wirewood Channeler. And you can pause the video or look these up online. I'm not gonna, since I'm doing 100 cards here, we gotta go a little faster. Priest of Titania makes a lot of mana. Gyre Sage is a really interesting addition. Heart Warden, more in the card drawing, but also in the mana producing department, so she does a little bit of everything, so she's got some late game power. You got Llanowar Elves and Elvish Mystic, who are the same thing, but they got different names, so that's nice. And we've also got Elvish Archdruid. He's pretty cool. And he also pumps our whole army of elves, which is nice too. We also have Imperious Perfect, which probably should be Prefect, but they're calling it Perfect, so I'm just going to roll with that. Who makes elves too? Still sick, sorry about that. Card drawing wise, we've also got Jim Palm's Strider, but he also pumps your army. And card drawing, we got Masked Admirers, which comes from that commander deck. And it draws you a card and you can pay 2 extra green. And it'll come back when you cast creature spells. So that's fun, and it's a 3/2, which is solid. We got Elvish Visionary and more card drawing power. And just some other elves that don't fit any particular themes. We've got Taunting Elf. This guy can help you basically alpha strike. You swing him with everybody else, make everybody block him. He gets clobbered, but everybody else goes over and smashes face. Silhana Ledgewalker. She's quite good for pushing through damage. Well-Wisher, just a nice elf card. Seeker of Skybreak lets you abuse all your tap abilities, and there are quite a few of them. Wirewood Herald, because when Herald dies, he goes and gets you elves. which is amazing. Reclamation Sage, just a little more removal, of course. Titania is chosen because he's just really stompy. It's quite cool. Ivy Lane Denizen, yeah, this guy that got overlooked a lot when he got printed in that set, but I'm thinking with this elf deck, he's actually pretty cool. So, I included him for that reason. Lyssalana Huntmaster. Glissa Sunseeker, this has been one of my favorite cards since it was printed a zillion years ago. You float mana into your mana pool, pop artifacts, and she's also a 3/2 first striker. And you can still use that mana to cast stuff. It's not like pay and destroy stuff, it's float mana, destroy stuff, and then still cast things. Pretty amazing. And she's, of course, an elf. Ren's Run Packmaster, this is quite a solid card, too. And last, we got our elves who are liable to potentially kill things. We got Draga Warcaller. This guy, oh, this guy's amazing. He's just monster glorious anthem for elves. He is quite solid. Love that guy. Timberwatch Elf, one of those tap abilities I mentioned before, likes to tap pump things, swing your attackers. Whoever gets unblocked or needs to kill something that's going to block him, tap him, pump him. Can deal a lot of damage. Izuri, Renegade Leader, this guy's outstanding. If you ever get the chance to search your deck in here, this is definitely one of the elves you want to consider, because he comes with an overrun. You can activate at instant speed, and you can activate it as many times as you need, plus he even regenerates other elves. He can't regenerate himself, which is kind of a bummer, but it helps make him balanced, so it's all good. We got Drove of Elves, just another big beat stick. Immaculate Magistrate, which is basically Timberwatch Elf, except it puts on 1/1 counters instead of getting a 1-turn boost, so that much more solid. And Heedless One of my old favorites too for elf decks. She just stepped on everything when you get your elf army going. Enough said. Alright, and speaking of big beat sticks, we've also got Multani Maro Sorcerer. These are not-so-elf creatures. He's just a shroud, really big guy, especially in a format that's designed to be multiplayer. This guy can just be huge. He's just a big threat. Nothing more complex and nothing complex about it. Rampaging Baloths. Soul of New Phyrexia, I just felt like I had to run this as soon as I saw it. Obviously, if you can get him out and untap, it makes your army very hard to deal with, because board wipes no longer get rid of him, and it makes you not really have to worry so much about blocking, and you can generate a lot of mana in this deck. So he's a pretty cool idea, and even if he dies, he can still be useful because of his other ability. So Sylvos Rogue Elemental, another one I've always loved. 6-drop, 8/5 trample, and he regenerates on 1. Nothing not to love about that guy. Nothing not to love at all. Thunderous Baloth, this is one of our big win conditions. Get him out with Freyalise, and obviously your whole army becomes a giant, rampaging, trampling mass of destruction. Layer him with like any other boosts, and he pretty much allows you to swing for game. Tornado Elemental, because we don't like flyers. Siege Behemoth, this guy easily swings games against people. If you can manage to untap and swing with him, this guy often just ends the game. He's quite solid. Speaking of things that just end the game when they show up, how about doing it the turn you cast it? Craterhoof Behemoth. Yowza. That guy often wins games too. He can deal like the whole 40 life points damage right in one shot. And then we've got Mutagen of Life's Web. Indestructibles are quite nice in Commander because of all the board sweeps that tend to be destruction based. And also the fact that you can activate her ability at instant speed is quite nice. She's very solid, especially combined with another card we've got coming up. She has some combo potential that's pretty cool, and anytime you draw a bunch of cards, you can pop her to do cool stuff, like at the end of your opponent's turn, right before it becomes your turn. You can make armies out of nowhere. And your opponents can't really do much because if they threaten to exile her or something, you can just activate her ability in response. So she's kind of cool in a format where you can get a lot of mana together. As far as our other support creatures, we got Wirewood Symbiote. He can re-abuse those tap abilities. We got Kershrai Belder, just because he's amazing land gain. Eternal Witness, because she gets anything back. Enough said there. Skyshroud Poacher, a little something that is quite nice for elves. Just his ability to go get any elf and put it into play is quite nice. Acidic Slime, just good solid green removal, because green does need some removal. Brass Herald, he gets elves, he pumps elves. Nothing not to like there. Gravesifter gets a lot of elves. He combines well with Mutagen of Life's Web, because he loads up your hand with a bunch of elves, and then you can buke them out with Mutagen, so that's nice. We got Soul of the Harvest, and note that the non-token creature has to come into play. It doesn't have to be cast. So this guy can draw you all kinds of cards, so he makes the cut. Plus he's a 6/6 trample. And last we got Lifeblood Hydra, because this thing can draw us lots of cards, and it's also a monstrous trampling beat stick. everything green loves, everything green needs. Except flyers. Oh well. And our other support, there are only 15 non-land, non-creature cards. One of them is Skull Clamp. We got plenty of things to clamp, and drawing cards is very nice. In this format, we really need that. Speaking of which, Sensei's Divining Top speaks for itself, pretty much. Regrowth, getting stuff back, always awesome in a deck full of one-ofs. Harmonize, draw cards. Collective Unconscious, we can populate with a lot of creatures, so this is a great way to restock your hand just all the way. We also have Praetor's Council. This is arguably one of the best ways to abuse Myojin of Life's Web, just because you never have to discard at the end of the turn anymore, so you can just load up your hand. I've had hands literally like 20 cards deep in this deck after firing this. Sometimes I think a little bit more, but after that it kind of didn't matter anymore. I wasn't really counting. So, yeah, quite an astounding card. We also run Soul Ring because, well, Soul Ring. Mana Acceleration. Kadama's Reach. We got Song of the Dryads as some removal, because it turns it into a forest, and it ceases to be whatever it was and have all its abilities and stuff. It just becomes a forest. So that's quite a good removal card. Speaking of great removal, Desert Twister, just pop something. Yeah, it costs 6 and it's a sorcery, but it's green. What do you want? It kills any permanent, and it's green. It's going to cost a lot. Wave of Vitriol, this just blows away all their support. This can be a great way to prep for a sweep if that's what you need to do. We've got Overrun, I just couldn't resist. It's an old classic. And, Pump and Trample wins games, especially with big hordes of elves. And Overwhelming Stampede, this card, I've won so many of the games this deck has won. I've won with this card. It just deals such an obscene amount of damage. And the best part is you cast a big creature, something that's hard to kill like Sylvos, your opponent doesn't really make the connection until the next turn, then you swing and boom. There it is. It's pretty much over right there. Alright. That said, we do run 2 other planeswalkers other than Freyalise. We've got Gruuk Relentless, who pops creatures, makes little wolves, and then he can flip, of course, which is why he's out of the sleeve, into Gruuk the Veil Cursed, and make instead of happy wolves, he makes angry wolves. So, and he does other things too that may or may not end up mattering. And we've also got Gruuk Primal Hunter. Yes, there are some other green planeswalkers that could also do an amazing job, but a lot of this deck, you got to keep in mind, is limited by what resources I do have in Magic, and I've played at certain times and not played in others, and I didn't want to break the bank building this, because I enjoy the game, but I also enjoy being able to eat. So, you got to make choices sometimes. Alright, land-wise, we got 12 non-basics, and the remaining 23 out of our 35 total lands are basic. We're running Slippery Karst, and we're also running Tranquil Thicket, because these are the green cycle draw cards lands. They can be nice late game when you don't need the lands anymore. Nykthos, Shrined Nyx. This thing can make obscene amounts of mana very quickly for you, since you're running a monocolored deck. You can cast all kinds of fun stuff. Wirewood Lodge, untap some more. Oran Reef, or Oran Reef, or whatever, the Vast Wood. Just pumps your critters more, always nice. Okina, Temple to the Grandfathers. Yavimaya Hollow. This thing can be so good with your big green beatsticks. Quite nice. Rogue's Passage, also nice with the aforementioned beatsticks. Haunted Fengraf. Just get more elves, man. Get more elves. Ghost Quarter. Against some people, it's just going to be colorless land, but obviously against certain opponents, it can do a lot more, so it's nice to have. We have Temple of the False God, because, like Sol Ring, mana's good. And we also run Darksteel Citadel. You really don't have to, but I just like to have something so that if I do get, all the lands swept, I'm not completely screwed, especially since we've got the mana-making elves. Potentially, if our lands get blown up, it's not the end of the world. So it's nice to have. You don't have to run it, but it's nice to have. I like it. And then, like I say, our remaining lands are all forests. All different kinds of forests, but a forest is a forest. So, there you go. There's Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury, Commander deck. Oh, I'm sorry. There's Freyalise, Llanowar's Fury, Commander deck. Alright. And go ahead, give it a spin, try some of the ideas, see what you like, change it around a little bit. But this is definitely a good commander, and her commander deck is definitely worth picking up if commander is something you feel like you might want to try. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and just enjoy.